Manchester City beat Arsenal 2-0 in the League Cup final. We're going to start with that. Weirdly, I have to say, I found myself, when City scored the goal, kind of half celebrating. And I was like, oh, do I want Man City to win this here over Arsenal? Which is a bizarre thing to say as a Liverpool fan, with the recent battles going on between Liverpool and City and everything going on with City with the charges and how they've gone about everything. And I sat with it and I thought, yeah, I do. I do want Man City to win this game. And there's been a lot of talk. Jamie Carragher, I think, went on about it on Monday Night Football in this past week that's gone by, about how he says a lot of people are actually wanting Man City to win the league over Arsenal and to try and do something over Arsenal. And I think it does say a lot. I think, to be clear, Arsenal will win the Premier League title. I would be shocked if they don't. I don't think losing this game here in the Carabao Cup is going to have an impact on them. I think they're very consistent on a week-to-week basis. I think they're built to go for that 38-game period and not lose their stride. And I think they'll be more hungry from it after today. Look, it could go the other way, but that's how I feel it'll go. And I think it's very difficult to win the Premier League. I think it's very difficult to win a league. I think that Arteta should get a lot of credit, and I'll do a video about that at the end of the season if and when they do get over the line. But there's no doubt today I wanted City to win that game, and City won the game, and there'll be a lot of talk about football is won today, you know? Football is won today, not Arsenal with their set pieces, Man City knocking the ball around, and I thought City were great. I thought they were direct. I thought it was a kind of very good, pure, older version of Pep's football with very good decision-making and clinicalness when they get into those areas. And really, after about the 20th minute on, I thought City were the better side, and even in that first 20 minutes, I didn't think Arsenal really hurt City a lot, and the teams dropped, and I looked at that and I thought that'll be quite comfortable for Arsenal today. 1 or 2-0 win for them, but in quite a comfortable way. All right, City will maybe cause them some problems going forwards, but Arsenal are solid enough to deal with it. And it just didn't transpire that way, and City started to feel themselves. You know, there's a moment where Shirky's doing the keepy-uppies, where he brings it down, and it was a little bit early to be doing that, but there's a little bit of bite between the two sides. It was good to watch. It was really good to watch. I enjoyed watching City. They went forward with a purpose, and Arsenal just didn't really create anything. And Jesus' header that loops over, that hits the bar towards the end, where they can maybe make it 2-1, and as a neutral point of view, I'm kind of like, oh, go on, I wouldn't mind a goal here to see what happens, maybe get some penalties, keep the game going for longer, keep the Sunday going for longer, but it doesn't happen. And I think when you're that mentality and that mindset that Arsenal have under Mikel Arteta, and a lot of Arsenal fans just will not take it and will not accept of who they are and what they are, be proud of it. It's fine. You're going to win the league title, and who gives a flying fuck about how you do it, to be honest? We'll all remember that you've done it, and whatever anyone says to you, you can say we are the Premier League champions, and that's all that should matter. And as Thierry Henry said, I think on the CBS Champions League thing, you have to respect it, and respect it. Absolutely no problem. But there was a long time being taken on goal kicks and throw-ins and corners, and the Man City fans are booing, and Gary Neville mentioned that on commentary about something does need to be done about it. It does, and it's not great to watch. And I think when you go a goal behind in a final or in any game, but particularly a final, especially against a Pep Guardiola team, a Man City team who start to find their feet and start purring and start playing their best kind of level that they can play at, I think it's really hard to switch into that mode of getting on the front foot and trying to be expressive and open. I've always thought that way. That's not just Mikel Arteta's team. That's any team that's kind of played that way. Even like Simeone's Atleticos, again, respect it. Mourinho's Chelsea, again, respect it. But I always felt like if you can get ahead against those teams, and even teams that come and maybe sit with 10 men behind the ball and try and defend, and they're trying to get out of there with a point or keep it 0-0 as long as possible, it's like when you get the goal, the kind of whole game plan goes to shit, and it's a bit like it's harder to snap into that mentality to go on the front foot. And I just think that that's Arsenal's weakness. And not only was that Arsenal's weakness, there was a lot of moments there where Kepa has the ball and Man City just completely stood still, let him have it and said, go on, play out the back. We know you're not exceptionally great at that, and that's where we deem to be your weakness. And I think they got it spot on today. I think the master, he obviously does get it spot on today and does win. They go on to win the Carabao Cup, but the master beat the apprentice today. And look, it's the end of Pep. I think he's done it this season. I think the kind of whole style of football that we've seen from him and what everyone's adopted and the good and the bad about it, I think this is going to be a line drawn in the sand now, where that time period is finished and we really are going to move into something else. And whether that's the Arsenal type of style in the Premier League or whatever it might be in Europe. You know, we've seen PSG maybe be a little bit more counter-attacking and counter-intuitive and a bit more of a balanced team and not so obsessed about possession based. I think Pep will call it quits. What do I think he'll do after? I really don't see him managing again. He might do kind of similar in the Klopp vein, where he might go into a role somewhere, maybe to do with Spain or whatever. I don't know, but I think that's him done. I'm getting that vibe, I'm getting that feeling, and it feels as if, you know, it would be the right time for him to bow out and go down. I mean, it will be argued as one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, to do it, and you can have your debates about that amongst your friends. Sticking on the point and the concept about, you know, possession based style football, I think two managers and two teams this week that really showed that if that's all your focus is, and you're not really bang on it to that level, kind of like what Pep's City were today, and I thought they were brilliant off the ball as well, by the way. But if you're not on it on the football, in Liverpool and Chelsea with Rosenior and Slot, these managers that are like so obsessed with kind of, you know, being Pep knockoffs, really. You know, Arne Slot's won a league title, by the way, and again, forever grateful for that. But these kind of Pep knockoffs and these guys, these spawns that come through when something like happens, when something's so good and so dominant and people want to emulate, and I did as well when I went into coaching too as a 16-year-old kid. But possession, and when your focus is just being on the ball and you lose sight of what the game is really about, and I said this in my video about Liverpool, it's about running. And Brighton and Everton this weekend, I put a tweet out about this as well, Brighton and Everton this weekend against Liverpool and Chelsea respectively, wanted the game more. They worked harder off the ball, forget about the tactical game plans, and people will be going online and probably breaking that shit down. For me, I watched that Liverpool-Brighton game. I didn't watch Everton-Chelsea, so I'm just going off of kind of the feeling of it and match of the day. But I watched Brighton-Liverpool. That was one team that ran harder and worked harder and was more physical and dug in and was up for a battle. And when they got kicked, got up for it and didn't kind of roll around on the ground. And it was a cohesive unit that was in there to win the game and knew they had to put in the yard and put in the work to get the win against a team, and I'm going to put Chelsea in this, that are happy. It's all about here we go, ball on the ball. This is how we break them down. It's possession, it's rondos, it's all that stuff in training, and that's just not football, man. Like football is what you do off the ball, and I think that always gets forgotten about, and that's how you become a difficult team to play against. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Just wrapping up the rest of the weekend, just quickly in England. Horrible result for Spurs. They are in trouble. They are in trouble. I know we keep saying that, but I'd expect Igor Tudor to be gone in the international break. If they don't, I think that's a bad decision, but I'm saying Igor Tudor should be gone. I don't really know who they go for and what they do. Is it going to be someone like Harry Redknapp to come in? It feels rash and random, but they're at a place of desperation. They really are. And again, you got to be careful where you're at. Put the video about Newcastle, who lose the derby against Sunderland late on. Great win for Sunderland. You've got to be careful of where you're floating and what you're doing and staying comfortable in football, because it doesn't work like that. You're going to get caught out. So if we switch over to Scotland, I watched Hearts yesterday against Dundee, and it's another win for Hearts at 3 points, and it quite frankly doesn't matter from here on out. I've been saying that for a few weeks for Hearts now. It's just, it doesn't really matter. And it's the same with Arsenal, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. Get the wins in and get the trophy. Get over the line. But look, I think Shankland being back, and when he came on in the second half, I thought was a lot of improvement, but Hearts are really scraping out these 1-0 wins. And I don't see them being a team that get much more than a 1-0 win. And look, they might go on and get 2-0 games and stuff, but I don't see Hearts a team that are going to get a lot of goals in a lot of these games and put them to bed. I think they're going to be in the mix with these games, and they're going to be hanging in the balance, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that you can tell McInnes has kind of gone for that, and that's what he wants, and it's to be solid and not to lose the game, especially after you get over the line. And I think that's how Hearts are going to play it, and I would say be a little bit wary of that. And I think in particular away from home, that might be quite difficult to get that goal and try and see that out. I think at Tynecastle, it's a little bit of a different story when you've got the crowd behind you and it's that feeling. So that's for that on Hearts. Rangers comfortably put Aberdeen away. They're the most informed team. They're the most kind of just constantly going through it. They're the team that you'd fear the most, and I would say are favourites to win this league, and who I think at this moment in time will win the league. Danny Rowe's got them going. It'll be away games and making sure they don't slip up, and you know, it's going to be the classic of if they do slip up and they draw, but Hearts get that win at home at Tynecastle and 1-0, and Hearts can just get that gap a little bit further ahead that allows them an opportunity to slip up potentially against Rangers or Celtic when the split eventually comes. Then that's fine, but Rangers are the most informed team, and I think Rangers are the ones that are favourites who I think can go on to win it. And I did catch a decent bit of Celtic today against Dundee United, and I think they're the weaker of the three, and I think today's result proved it there. That's not to say that Celtic might not go on and win the rest of the games this season, but I just think they're the weaker of the three. And I think that result today showed it, and they just looked tough to break it down. I think there was some chance at the end again, like Martin get out, or Martin out, or something. And I don't know, like really Celtic, I think that he's come in and I think he's done a really good job, and he stepped up for you guys when you've really needed something. You've been in a bit of trouble, and you've not been flying. A lot of things are there, and he's kind of come out of retirement and come out of a cushy job at Talk Sport, and he's come back for you twice. And I think that's a little bit harsh, and I think you have to expect what you're going to get with it. But the squad's not great. You guys all know that. Signings that you've lost, signings that you brought in has not been good. So they're the weaker of the three for me. But yeah, Hearts are just going to have to make sure that they can just I think they need to squeeze a little bit more out of themselves. They look a little tired. Kazadiris is off the boil. You know, the front three were really flying with Braga, still absolutely exceptional, by the way. Just winning headers, winning the ball. He was unbelievable, I thought, yesterday. Hell of a football player. What a signing. Be interesting to see if he's there come the summer, and it's something Hearts are going to have to deal with. Yeah, I think Hearts just are going to need a little bit more. But look, it doesn't matter if it's 1-0 every week and you just keep winning, you're top of the table, and that's it. You win the league title, and you break the old firm, and you do something. And even if they don't win the league, I think they'll still come second. I think they'll still get more points up than Celtic will do there. So again, let me know your thoughts on that. Drop it in the comments. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope everyone's had a good weekend. I hope you have a good start to your week. It's obviously an international break now. It's been so long since we've had them. You forgot what that feels like when they come in. And I don't know, as a Liverpool fan, it feels kind of nice to kind of just take the foot off the gas a little bit and have a break. But there's a lot of other teams that, you know, will want to keep it going. As always, if you enjoy the videos, like and subscribe to the channel. Drop the comments, any of your thoughts. I'll probably split this up into a couple of different videos, as I always do over the course of the next couple of days. But yeah, have a good one, and until the next one, peace.